Hi, Chris Christoph here on my podcast, Relentless, Life on Your Terms, with a special guest, Karl Brown. Thank you very much for joining us.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Now, recently, you're the winner of the Business News Australia
Brisbane Young Entrepreneur of the Year.
Entrepreneur.
Yeah, so won the overall and won retail and services with Instyle Solar and won Startup of the Year with Rokkit, which is a new business of ours that we've had going for just over 12 months.
Well, thank you very much. And funny enough, I actually saw you again 2 nights ago. You're at the CEO Awards at the Crown Palladium, and I thought it was you, but I didn't come up to you. And you were up against an unbelievable category. Obviously, the great Gina Reinhardt was in your category.
Yeah, a few people have heard of Gina, so It was an interesting one. But it was a great night. Look, it was awesome just to be in the room with a lot of the people that were there. You know, I kind of look at a lot of them business people as kind of like the Michael Jordans or the Tiger Woods of the business world. So it's just great to be in the same room as them, really. So.
Well, look, that's modest of you. And I saw you last year in these awards, and I thought, wow, you started your business Instyle Solar in 2014 with $2,500.
That's right.
And since that, you've had just shy of 100 employees and just over 100 mil, under 100 mil, 116 employees,
yes,
and 100 mil in revenue.
Yeah, we're about 112, 113 now, just about to touch that. But yeah, it's in just over 5.5 years. So it's been a pretty crazy time. Pretty big growth, pretty rapid growth. But it's been awesome, been a lot of fun.
Well, that's super impressive for yourself, so never sell yourself short, so well done, and thanks again for being. So in your entrepreneurial journey starting in 2014, what were the key things that really resonated, you remember, that starting your business, obviously there's a lot of hard days, what was the thing that made you want to start? I know you were in sales for a long time.
Not my first time in business. I think most people that have got a pretty successful company have had a few failures. And if they haven't, they probably will at some point. You know, I think you need them to know what you learn from them. You know, the biggest takeaways for me, or the reasons why I started, was I was just working with another solar business, and one of the things they kept changing was remuneration packages. And when you're in sales, the easiest way to demotivate a salesperson is to change the way they're getting paid, and it just kept on happening. So, was sitting there on a couple of my down days and was having a good look at the industry, and I just thought we could do it better, and different and better, and going through it, put a bit of a plan together, and it just started. It was a interesting time, a very, very probably tough time to start a solar business. All the rebates had started to drop and feed-in tariffs had started to lower, and it was getting a bit harder. But I had a lot of confidence in what we could do in the industry and the way we could do things differently to, I guess, everyone else in the market.
I'd like to touch on that.
It has worked.
Carl, so you said it was a tough time. There was all these challenges where people are turning the other way, and you thought, let's give it a go. You saw an opportunity there. Yeah,
look, what I saw was a lot of companies that had been through, I guess, the real peak periods of solar really starting to rest on their laurels. And what I mean by that is they weren't really getting their businesses out there. They'd sold so much and made such a huge pipeline of installations that they just weren't really pushing their businesses that hard and getting out to market. And I looked at it and thought, well, I think we can do a lot better than these guys, and I also looked at the proposition that most of them were putting forward. They were really focused on selling technical solutions and talking about technical specs of inverters and panels and all different things. And I found that nearly all companies were going that way, when, to be honest, consumers want lower electricity bills. All they really need to know is how much they're going to save, how long it's going to take to pay the system off, with the savings, and that the system's of good enough quality that's going to last. They don't need to know all of the tech specs. So we went a different way. We sell lower electricity bills, and the way we do that is by putting a solar system on your home.
It's similar systems with a mortgage. When people refinance and we say it's going to be X, all you really need to know is how much quicker will you be financially forward and stuff 100%. Like that. When you mentioned as well the commissions and people that are in sales commissions they don't trust because every week you got a new pay package, it's kind of like superannuation. You don't trust something that changes so rapidly, do you?
No, you don't. And you in sales, I'm a firm believer for myself anyway, and some people can get away with it. I have to believe in what I'm selling. I have to have full belief in the product that I'm putting forward to somebody. For me to excel at it, I can sell it into anyone, but if I want to have a lot of confidence in what I'm doing, I need to feel the product's going to be good for the person that I'm sitting in front of. And with solar, you got that double-sided win to it. You're saving people money, which people need. Yep. And on the other side of that, it's a environmental product. You know, so you got the two sides to it. You're
got the
going to
green side and the money side.
100%, and it's a good mix. You
So
know
I
what
call
I
it the
mean?
green and the green. It's saving you green and it's saving the green.
That's right. That's
So
right. A really big added bonus that it's awesome for the environment.
I love hearing that, because you don't hear that often in sales, and there's only very few people that I can actually call sales professionals. Everyone's in sales, but the ones that have the true conviction. I've been selling since I was 10, so now I'm currently 40 to 30 years, and I've been running sales since I was 23, and I noticed that you've been doing something similar, and to have that passion, to love what you do, but not sell anything to anyone unless you feel it's going to benefit them. I think that's the true mark of a great professional.
I completely agree. Yeah, it's got to be, you hear about a lot of people, and the easiest person to go to is like the Jordan Belforts of the world, where everyone talks about everything he did wrong at the past. One of the things he was able to do, though, was take really poor quality type salespeople and turn them into absolute guns. The problem he made the mistake of was teaching them to sell something they probably shouldn't have. I'm a firm believer that you just have to believe in what you're doing. You've got to be doing it for the right reasons. And if you're able to tick all these boxes that work, sales is incredible. I think it's an undervalued profession. I think especially in Australia, I think it's getting better now, but even if you look back 10, 15 years ago, you say you're going to go into sales or you're in sales, everyone just presumes you're a used car salesman. Do you know what I mean? And to be honest, there's not that many great, I don't know how many cars you've bought over the last 5 years, but usually when you go into a car, they could probably do with a hell of a lot of training, to be fair. So it's interesting. It's interesting.
I love that analogy. And look, you mentioned Jordan Belfort, and his techniques still apply and are true, but it comes down to what sort of ethics you have as a salesperson.
That's right.
You can learn something from everyone, and being able to have that conversation with someone and to get someone to see their point of view to save them money, I think second to none. And I can see it in you. Actually love sales, and it's everything.
I do. It's probably the hardest thing about having the company where it is now. I don't get to sell as much as I usually do. So I don't get to work as early as you mentioned before, but if I do get in there before everyone on the phone rings, I'm usually pretty quick to answer it, and most of them phone calls will turn into a sale. So it's interesting. It's interesting. I don't get the same amount of time, but I love it.
And I love what you said. I read your bio when you said you still get salesmen do the fist pump. I used to call my friend on the way back from a double sale, and I go, man, I feel like, I shouldn't say it, but I'll say, I feel like I'm the Federer of sales sometimes. 100%. I absolutely love the process of it. Yep. You don't hear that anymore. It's a profession. I can honestly say, I'm proud to say I'm a sales professional. 100%. And I sell real estate and I help people make money. And you mentioned the win-win. I help people retire financially secure, and I absolutely love what I do. So when you said you get up early, I love it. I couldn't imagine anything other than getting up and going to that office, because it's a passion of mine.
I agree, and I think most of the people that we're going to see obviously tonight at the awards are the same. Don't get me wrong. In any business, you're going to have your bad days. You're going to have your sensational days. You're going to have that. But at the end of the day, I think all the people that are going to be here tonight have got that burning desire to achieve. Do you know what I mean? And you don't see it in a lot of people. But I do find, especially at these awards and at these events, the people that you meet, they're just on a different level.
That's refreshing to see too. When I go to these events and I went to the CEO, I always have the same thought. I don't know about yourself. I just want to work harder and push more and be more. Whenever I walk into a room like that, it actually puts me onto overdrive times 10. That's the only thought that goes through my mind every time I go to these awards.
100%. Well, I lost to Gina the other night, so I was sitting there going, "How do I get there?" It's like, it's a pretty big task. How do I get her next year, or how do I get her in 2 years' time? But it's not necessarily about beating people. It's, I think in business, you set goals for yourself. Some of them are reachable. And if you don't reach any of them, you're not going to continue going to others. But I think you set pretty hefty goals in business, and you work damn hard. And a lot of people don't see the blood and sweat that goes into building a reasonable size company.
And what Gina said, and that really resonated and actually made my hairs go up when she said, it's for all the hard work, for all the parties I never went to. It's people see the end result and they think, oh, I'd like to do that. Overnight. Would you? Get up and do the same thing. And it's actually that the blood, sweat and tears, when you hear another entrepreneur speak about that, the emotion comes out because you know how hard it is. And when you're in a room, and actually it just motivates me to speak to people like yourself that have done this and just keep pushing, and it just shows you how much more is out there to do.
100%. I think I've got a, not a painting, but a poster on my wall in my office, and it says entrepreneur, someone who works 80 hours for themselves, not to work 40 hours for somebody else. Do you know what I mean? And it kind of does resonate. And I don't like to really talk, everyone thinks that there's all this work-life balance and everything going on, and everyone talks about it. And I do believe that you do have to have some balance. But at the end of the day, to build something great, you got to put the time in. You got to
What's
put the hours in.
balance?
Well, that's right. If you enjoy what you do, you don't have to balance it as much.
Someone said that to me. They go, Chris, work-life balance. I said, that's a myth. And to be honest, it's not a work-life. I don't know about yourself, Karl, but I've got 4 little kids as well.
2 boys, they're upstairs.
2 boys. So I've got a 16-year-old, a 6, 3, and a 2-year-old, and running multiple businesses like yourself. And they say balance. For me, it's not an issue because I love being at home. I love being at work. I look at my clock, sometimes 16 hours has gone like that. I love what I do. But when you said challenges, and I guess it's through your failures, I think you come up with your successes, and that's when you really push yourself. But I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. And I know you're going to have a lot of answers. When was the one time that you really felt I had to back myself here and you had to go all in to really make a difference? When was the key defining moment? And I know 2014, you've done amazing things in such a short period of time. When was the one moment you had to back yourself and go, Karl, I'm all in, I've got to do this? When was it?
It would have been about 7 months into the business, or maybe a little bit longer actually. It might have been about probably 10 months in. And back then we were doing door-to-door as our lead generation model. So we had 14 door knockers working in a van, and essentially the team leader walked into our office after the rest had gone out to field and said, I've got some good news and some bad news for you. And I'm like, oh yeah, what's this? The good news is we're staying till Friday. The bad news is all 14 of us have just been poached by another solar company. And that was our whole lead engine at the time. And I remember my business partner, Jonah, and he's sitting there, he's going, we've got to do everything to keep them. I'm like, nah, let them go. You know, and when you talk about being all in, what that meant is that for there in the foreseeable future, we had to rebuild really, really quickly. We had nothing coming in from a lead perspective to keep our sales there. And we had to pretty well restructure the business in 5 minutes, you know, and that just meant that back in the trenches, back on the phones, back, you know, even though I was meant to be out selling and doing everything else, I turned into technically an appointment setter again.
So you basically rolled up your sleeves and you got to work.
Yeah, just got back into it. You know, and that's kind of what we had to do. When 14 people go out that are producing 2 to 3 leads a day, you know what I mean? That changed everything really, really quickly. But I guess what I decided at that point was in this business is that I was never going to allow other people to dictate the path we were going to take. You know, I could have easily tried to sit there and negotiated and tried to do everything to keep these 14 people in the business. But I thought, you know what, you don't want to be a go.
You know what,
I'll find another way.
I love what you said, because for me, even if you kept them or you didn't, half their mind's already out the door.
They've already
gone. I
shake
their hand and say go, because you know whatever happens, I'm not going to fight to keep you. And I know that you'll get 6 or 12 months, but not many people will do that.
They're already gone. In their head, they're already gone. Yeah, what are you going to do? Offer them more money? You know what I mean? And then someone else is going to come back. Same thing.
So what were you doing door to door? You're selling solar?
That was appointment setting for door to door for solar. Yeah.
I did door to door. I did a gamut of different sales jobs, which I love.
That's how I started.
AAPT, I was switching people's phones lines.
Yep.
So all the hard, I think that actually teaches you how to sell. When you do door to door, I did telemarketing for holiday concepts as well, selling timeshare, and I think that really teaches you the essence of selling.
I started exactly the same way. So I started in sales, door to door for Optus. So that's how I started. So exactly the same way. Really good apprenticeship, I think.
I think it was the best. I actually went for an interview. I'll never forget this. I'll share this story with you. And we're at the front. There's 3 of us there. You know, you're waiting, and we could hear all this screaming going on, really loud. And I go, "What the hell's going on in there?" But it was loud. Like, next day we went in there, and they were having their rev up meeting for the morning before that day. Yeah. And when we were outside, we were 3 people for an interview. I go, "What is that? All that noise?" They're banging, screaming, high five. They were building an energy in that room. And when I was in there, I was like, so taken aback. But after, I just bought into it, and I thought, "Wow, this is amazing."
Yeah, it was pretty addictive for me. Once I got in there, I didn't think I'd actually like sales. You know, it's interesting because all my friends from school talk about it and turn back and go, "You were always going to be in sales," but I'd never seen it. You know, a typical blue collar family was expected to be a panel beater. You know,
you were a mechanic before.
I was a mechanic for a little while. Then I went into panel beating in the family business, and essentially it just wasn't for me.
Well, look, I never knew you before, but getting to know you like I did, sales would be a great thing because I think you're very likable and you can obviously sell. So I would pick that from speaking to you. You'll be good at that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, one more thing I did want to mention, and I saw, and I actually thought, wow, you did the Vinny CO sleeper in the last 2 years.
I did, yes. The first year I actually fell down quite crook, so I didn't actually get there, but I still made sure everything was donated and I matched it. I did it this year, sorry. Pretty incredible experience, to be honest. I was actually, you don't really think of homelessness in the right way. Usually, before I'd actually been to the event, I think of it as people on the side of the street or, homeless people you see in the city, that type of homeless. And you don't think of the people that are just crashing on people's lounges or friends' lounges or couch surfing and all them different types of homeless people that are living with family members or whatever. So it was a really interesting, eye-opening experience, to be honest.
Thanks for doing that. And last year I was appointed ambassador, but it's close to the heart for me. They go, why? There's no particular reason, but I think everyone is a human being, and it's a set of circumstances that could put me, you, or anyone there. And if I'm there and I want someone to walk past, give me a smile or maybe a bit of food. So when I'm being able to donate, I think it's a great thing. So doing that, people like yourself and donating money as well. You mentioned you match as well, which is amazing. And yeah, I'll see great things from you, I hope, again this year.
Yeah, look, we're looking to do it again, so I'm going to try and get my business partners and a few of my staff out there as well. I'd really like them to get out there and understand it. And it was definitely an eye-opening experience, that's for sure.
I'm taking my wife this year, the first Vinny CEO, so about to bring his wife.
Awesome.
Karl, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your time. Thank you. It was a pleasure meeting you.
No problem at all.
Good luck tonight.
Thank you very much.
Take it out.
It'll be a bit of fun.
I'll definitely be cheering for you, Karl.
Cheers. Thanks
you,
very
mate.
much. Thank you.